Can we find enough amazing deals at these farm auctions to make it worth the trip? Hi, and welcome back to Whitetail Acres Farm. Farm auctions can be a treasure trove for anyone looking for great deals on farm equipment, tools, or even unique items. The thrill of the auction, the rush of the bidding, and the satisfaction of scoring something at a fraction of its value, it's what makes these events so exciting. In this video, we'll walk you through not one, but two farm auctions we attended this week, and I'll be sharing with you our thought process on what to bid on and reveal how we score amazing deals. Our first stop was at Freddy Hill Farms in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. This was a bittersweet auction for so many people in the area. This farm turned into an iconic family fun center for more than 50 years with their famous ice cream stand, mini golf, and batting cages. But this farm has sadly now closed their doors and business so the owners can enjoy their golden years of retirement. With the farm becoming such a cornerstone for the community for so many years, the auction drew a large crowd as everyone wanted a piece of Freddy Hill's farm to cherish. Everything was up for grabs during the online auction, from the milkshake machines, digital scales, walk-in freezers, to their farming equipment, batting cages, and even the mini golf buildings and obstacles. We had our eye on their 500-gallon trailer ag sprayer with 40-foot booms. It would be perfect for us to spray natural liquid fertilizer on our hayfields in order to increase the quantity and the quality of our hay. It was a tight bidding war that was not for the faint of heart, but we were fortunate enough to win this piece of equipment for our farm. We made it over to Freddy Hill's property as soon as we could, and we were even able to chat with the owner when we were there to pick up our win. The farm was almost unrecognizable as every bit of their property was being dismantled and hauled away by the many other auction winners. The grounds were saturated from the recent rain, causing incredibly soft ground, posing a real challenge for the large equipment to be removed from the premises. We made our way over to the sprayer to take a first in-person look at it. Online auctions pose a huge risk to buyers because you're solely relying on the information and pictures that the sellers provide. The true conditions aren't always disclosed. If you're after larger or more expensive items, you could easily get burned and even end up with nothing but a large, expensive paperweight. As we looked over the ag sprayer, everything seemed to appear in decent condition, except for the tires. We were hoping to be able to tow it home, but the tires were in no condition to be on the road. We ended up reaching out to a friend that has a flatbed trailer, and he was able to help us load up the sprayer to bring it back to our farm. As part of the soil analysis test that we had done for our property, the fertilizer recommendations we received had a liquid foliar feeding to be administered at various times throughout the growing season. Since we didn't have a way to apply the foliar feeding to our nearly 30 acres of pastures and hayfields, we set out to find a pre-owned sprayer that would allow us to do so. The sprayer at Freddy Hill's auction was a Hardy TR500G pull-type sprayer and was advertised as having a brand new pump, which increased our confidence to bid on it. During our conversation with the owner at Freddy Hill's farm, prior to leaving with the sprayer, we were able to learn more about the history of the sprayer and former operations, giving us even further confidence that we were able to secure a reliable piece of equipment for our farm. We already ordered the liquid fertilizer and are looking forward to testing out the sprayer on our fields within the next couple weeks. The next auction on our list brought us to Lancaster County to the Agriteer 2026 Annual Farm Equipment Consignment Auction. This event is a significant regional gathering for farmers, featuring both live on-site bidding as well as online participation through the Agriteer website. The auction typically includes a wide range of farm machinery such as tractors, combines, planters, and harvesters. The Agriteer auction is the result of a decades-long tradition in Lancaster County. The event has grown to require multiple rings, which are separate, simultaneous auction tracks to handle the massive inventory of agriculture, construction, and trailer equipment. Unlike some other auctions, Agriteer explicitly focuses on quality farm equipment only, rejecting automotive items, lawnmowers, or even barn equipment, so that way they can ensure that there's always a professional grade inventory. We're excited to have the opportunity to attend this long-standing auction in person this year and have several pieces of hay equipment in mind to bid on. As we continue to increase our hay operations, quality, equipment, and efficiency are high on our list. We do have the equipment we need today, but having the ability to upgrade the equipment to larger pieces will help with the efficiency aspect, and it'll cut down on the time spent on the process. Specifically, we're looking for tedders, rakes, and possibly a hay wagon. Cutting and baling hay is more of a process than most people realize. Once you cut the tall grass, which will later become your bale of hay, you need to properly dry it before baling. The drying process requires a piece of machinery called a tedder. Tedders are pulled behind a tractor and have several spinning rotors equipped with flexible metal tines, which are also called forks. And this specialized piece of farm equipment is used to lift, fluff, and spread out cut hay in a field. Its primary job is to speed up the drying process by exposing more of the crop to sunlight and airflow before it's raked and baled. Our current tedder is a 4-basket model which can ted 15 feet at a time. At this auction, we're looking for a larger tedder, possibly an 8-basket tedder that will ted up to 27 feet per pass. Essentially, this will cut our time spent on this part of the baling process in half. Both tedders and rakes can be costly pieces of equipment, especially if bought new. This is why auctions like this are so helpful for so many farmers. It's a great way to find equipment when first starting out farming, or as a way to affordably upgrade equipment for existing operations. But although prices can be much better during auctions, there's always that risk factor because you don't generally know the history or the underlying problems that the used equipment might have. So prior to attending an auction like this, Ryan will invest a lot of time reviewing the equipment that is scheduled to be auctioned off, combing the internet and networking with the farmers to find out anything he can about the equipment's history. He also researches what similar used equipment is selling for and what the equipment would cost if purchased brand new. All this fact-finding helps us when making the decision on what to bid on and how much we're willing to bid for each piece of equipment. And that's exactly what we did for this auction. Prior to stepping foot at the Agriteer auction this week, we did our due diligence and wrote on a piece of paper a list of each piece of equipment we were interested in, the lot number, and the current average used price as well as the current average brand new price. Then we made it a point to arrive at the auction early enough to look at each piece of equipment in person before bidding on anything. Taking the time that we need to prepare for auctions prepares us to strategically pass on some equipment or bid on others. For those pieces we decide on to bid on, we can do so with confidence and not allow the thrill and excitement to overtake us. This auction drew thousands of attendees, even though the weather was marginal and there was a looming threat of rain all day. We managed to narrowly outbid someone on a skid of John Deere wheel weights, which just happened to be the exact size we need for our current tractor. This was one item that was high on our list for the event, so we were thrilled to win them. The rest of the equipment we wanted was towards the end of the row of items that would be auctioned off later in the afternoon. We were prepared to spend the entire day there as we patiently waited for key pieces of equipment to bid on in person. However, the day went sideways and we unexpectedly had to load up our tractor wheel weights and head out sooner than planned. It was a tough decision to make because we didn't want to lose the opportunity to bid on the other equipment, especially the tedder, but ultimately we had to decide to leave early for our safety.
Well, we decided to leave the auction early. The clouds were starting to roll in and the wind was starting to pick up a little bit, and then we ended up getting, if you can believe this, weather alerts on our phones saying that there's going to be, possible tornadoes and severe storms. And then next thing we know, we got a message that the local school district decided to dismissed school a couple hours early because of the storm warnings that we're getting. So we decided, we were too far from home, and there's also the option of being able to bid online. So that's not ideal because, we like doing it in person. It's just a better experience and everything. But we want to get back early, make sure we got everything secure here on the property and on the farm, make sure that the kids got home from school okay and all of that stuff, and just be here for the storm. So we'll see what happens. Not sure what to expect, but the sky's starting to look dark here and the clouds are starting to move pretty quick. So I'm glad we got home when we did, and now we just have to hunker down and see what happens tonight. So we'll find out.
Thankfully, the auction was being held both in person and online. We were able to make it home in time to hop on the computer and watch the rest of the bidding from there. Although it's helpful to bid in person as you're able to read the other bidder's body language and nonverbal cues, in this situation we were okay with completing the rest of the bidding online, and we were happy that we were able to spend the time at the auction that morning to actually see and touch the equipment, so we were confident when bidding on the other pieces. To our excitement, we were able to bid on a beautiful 8-basket tedder, and we won it. It was certainly more nerve-rattling bidding online rather than being there in person to do it. And after seeing a few other tedders sell during the auction, we weren't quite sure how we would fare on bidding on this particular tedder. Of all the tedders that were at the Agriteer today, the one that we ended up winning was the one that we wanted the most. What a successful last few days. Now we need to make arrangements to have it delivered to our farm and look forward to setting it up and using it this summer. The storm and tornado threats became our main focus of attention once the auction ended, and we kept a close eye on the news in order to stay on top of the latest forecasts. We were happy to be home and have the kids home safely from school. The storms ended up arriving later that night, which was later than forecasted. Thankfully, it downgraded to a thunderstorm without tornadoes popping up in the area, but the winds were intense and caused some widespread damage. The next morning, I walked the property looking for trees that may have fallen and to inspect the property for damage. We had one very large cedar tree fall in one of our pastures, and thankfully it fell away from the electric fence, so the only thing we need to worry about here is removing it. When heading back to one of our other pastures, I came across another cedar that fell. This one unfortunately fell right on our electric fence. With the ground being so wet from all of the melted snow and the warmer weather and rain recently, I'm sure the saturated soil in combination with the extremely high winds from the storm made the perfect scenario for trees like this to be uprooted and topple over. There is another smaller, skinnier tree next to this one that fell on the fence as well. The good thing is that these were the only trees I found that had fallen on our fencing. The bad news is that it happened to fall on the fencing for the field that we currently have cattle in. Our 3 young heifer calves have access to this field. With the larger tree laying on the fence, the calves could easily jump over it, so I had to quickly get some of our step-in post and spool of white electric fencing rope and section off that pasture so that way the calves can't make their way towards the back of the field and try to escape. Putting this temporary electric fence up is something that we wanted to do anyway because we don't want them having free reign of the field and eat all of the fresh green grass as it's popping up. By restricting their access now, it gives the land time to bounce back this spring and produce lush grass that they can really enjoy later. The calves were not happy with me for cutting off their access to the rest of the field and have hollered at me quite a few times. They'll be happy later though when the grass grows and they're able to munch on the tender foliage rather than the dry hay bales. All in all, it was a productive and successful last few days of scoring amazing auction deals and tending to the farm. If you've had any success at farm auctions or have a great deal hunting story that you want to share, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more auction adventures and deal hunting tips along with all of our farm adventures. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one.